Welcome to the First Look Seminar Show, and Gino Bacola. It's hard to believe we are already into the month of June. How time flies, my friend.
Yeah, just a couple weeks left of racing at Santa Anita. It feels it's kind of sad. You get those mixed emotions, but there are some big races to come. We have a fun Pick 5 sequence to dive into tomorrow. Still a couple more weeks of those free-to-enter Pick'em contests, Chappie. Pick'em.santanita.com. $500 to the winner every Saturday, every Sunday. That's a great way to build the bankroll up because, Skippy, you and I could take plenty of help building the bankroll up. As of late, we'll get any of the help that we can. There's also a contest tomorrow. You can try to get qualified for a big contest at Santa Anita coming up, Future Feeder contest. I'm always at ExpressBet taking a look at what to play over there. So, yeah, we'll talk some late Pick 5 for Saturday, Chappie.
Yeah, and Skipper, what a weekend we had last weekend. The crowds were back. The energy was here. It was a terrific way to spend the Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, it was. All weekend was great. Monday was wonderful, the card and everything, and then the Folds of Honor after. The carnival in the infield, it had that atmosphere. It was great. I love when it's like that, and it was great racing, and it was fun. So hopefully we could finish these next 3 weeks on a high note and head into Del Mar and Los Al, and just can't wait for Santa Anita to reopen again for the, what do they call it? It used to be the Oak Tree Meet. So what is that?
The fall meet, whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on because we are a little short of time. Gino has dad duties.
Milo, waiting at school. He's going to be in the playground. I'm going to have to grab him in a few minutes. But I think the most challenging thing about the sequence, Chappie, just overall, is how do you want to play race number 6, which is the Triple Bend, which is a 4-horse field. So I think in that race, you have to make your decision. Do you want, based on how you're going to structure your tickets? For me, that just feels like a perfect race to try to just take a stand with one of the horses in there, try to shorten up and just have a single. So if that is the case, you can probably spread out in a few of the other races. I think you might need to in this 5th race right off the bat. We're looking at some horses that we know familiar that we've played a little while. Chappie, you needed Nitty a couple starts back. And then Nitty last time out was really wide at the back of the back, chasing Lone Speed. And now is the first time gelding. And you kind of figure like a horse that might really improve with the first time gelding. I thought the 4 Joyrider, kind of interesting. This horse's dam was a 3-time winner. Did you guys watch that May 25th work? The one on XBTV. This horse picked up company, was with another horse, and then they sort of picked up company with 2 others. So this horse was almost in a race in the morning, like in between horses. And I kind of like that. I thought it was something that this horse could really build off of. A half sibling to a horse named Amy's Challenge, who was multiple grade 1 placed and won on the grass. That horse is in the mix for me. Siennois, the 8. This horse should come flying late. Looks like there's a pretty good amount of speed in here with the one-time mark flashing some speed. You'd have to imagine Sir Maximus in suspense, probably forwardly placed in here. Bertholity to the outside. I think combos of all of them will be showing speed. The real wild card to me, the 5 Nuclear. Can he sit just behind those horses that I was talking about? Can he sit like 4th? Not get caught up in all that early speed and maybe just get the jump on some of these deeper closers. I'll throw him in a few spots. Second start off the long layoff. That 1.125 turf race was really good. And so I think he could take a big step forward in here too, coming back. I thought this was a really challenging race. So I'll be spreading out a little using at least those horses I mentioned because I'll be shortening up in the next race when we talk about the Triple Bend.
Yeah, Skip, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this race because I thought this was an absolute scramble of a race. I have no strong opinion on any replays, any workouts. This is clearly a spread race for me as well, Skip. Your thoughts?
Yeah, me too, or 3. It was impossible. The workouts, nothing really stood out. I wanted to like Joyrider, but that work, it's kind of missing from April 14th till May 10th. There's no work in between. That always scares me off. I don't know, something could have happened or whatever. The work on the 25th was good, like Gino mentioned, and the breeding's good. Big Juanita ran giant that last race off the break. It was moving when the gates opened and kind of stayed in the gate to be away last. It swung out. It interfered with a couple horses turning for home in mid-stretch, but this horse came flying late with a good gallop out. I'm not surprised at all that they don't put this horse back up for a tag. you know, I'm, you know, very not surprised at all. So all that being said, there's a lot of speed in here. The 2 you got to use because it first time gelding, and maybe the 9 also, but I'm going deep in here. I got a couple singles later in the card. So I'm going to try to make something happen these first couple legs.
You know, the thing I have a comment about before we move on is people always talk about if they don't watch the works, and you know, we've always had discussion about bullet works, whatever, but the misleading part is there is no way that horse worked. If they say bullet fastest of, the horse was Joyrider, was outworked by 2 other horses in there, not by a lot, but yet they give
and it was
bullet.
good, but you know,
Right.
it is deceiving if you're just going based off the paper, and that's why I think like running lines a lot of time. That's why I watch so many replays, because there have been so many times where I would look at a race and then look back and had not watched a replay and be like, that doesn't really look like what happened in that race. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
that's to like in a day and age where there's so much information out there, that may be where you can still find little like hidden advantages.
Yeah, last weekend there was a Luis Mendez horse that claimed had a bullet work and went off as the favorite and ran 3rd and was soundly beaten by 2 other horses in the work. But they happened to give those 2 horses a 5 furlong work and that one a 4 furlong work. But he
Right.
was outworked by 8 lengths by the other 2. And then people say, "Oh, it's a Mendez first timer with a bullet work. It's got to be live." You know, whatever. But anyways, that's why the more you can watch them yourselves, the more it pays, right, to see what happens. So we're all in agreement. Spread race here. Skip, you had a strong opinion. I think both of you did in here. I mean, the Triple Bend race 6, it's only a 4-horse field. Unfortunately, 4 talented horses. But what are your thoughts here, Skip?
You know, I was going to try to take a stand, but I didn't really like anything. I liked Big City Lights originally. I thought Outside, the speed, Love Santa Anita, only got beat by the Trojan Vron. But that work on the 25th, I did not like it.
Me neither.
The jock had a loose rein. The horse was kind of going in, out. I didn't like that at all. So, you know, Tahoe Sunrise worked good. Dr. Ben came in. I don't know if this horse is going to be ready first time back from the rail, going 7/8. Maybe it is, but Happy Jack, I wanted to like also. But I'm afraid that horse never switched leads in that last race in the Kona Gold. It ran really good and it kept trying, but I didn't like the fact that it never switched leads. Maybe it needed the race a little bit, but it ran a top buyer. And you know what? Sometimes they react from that. So I don't know what to do here. I'm going to go all because I like a couple horses later and full fields that I'm going to take a stand on. So I'm going to go all in the Triple Bet.
I'm going to be interesting to see what Gino says here. I'm in agreement with you. The May 25th work threw me off of Big City Lights, who I wanted to love, especially with the outside draw in the small field. Gino, which way are you going here?
Yeah, when that would bother me more if this was like a younger horse or a horse that didn't have as much foundation. I think with a horse like this that you kind of know what you're going to get. Like I'm not quite as concerned as what that horse is going to do in the morning. So that's the horse who I'm going to single. Big City Lights, is we were kind of hitting on a lot of the reasons why. The form just makes so much sense. He has 5 wins. His 4 losses all came to the Chosen Vron. He was going to run last week in a $100,000 Calbred race, and he would not have been the favorite. And he probably will be favored in here for double the purse in a graded stakes race against Open Company. So if you look at his Open Company races too, he beat Hopkins. That's a graded stakes winner. He beat Newgate. That's a grade 1 winner. He beat Slow Down Andy. That's a grade 1 winner and a multiple graded stakes winner. This is a quality horse who he didn't even look like he was going to win his last race. I think he just did it on class. Like he just sort of ended up wearing that horse down. So with the outside draw, he can sit, he can show speed. I think it gives him some options in the small field. So I'm just going to key in on him and hope he's the class of the field.
Gino singling there. Skip and I are undecided. So I'm with you, Skip. I'm going to hit the all button. So I'm spread here to start. So let's go on to the grade 3 honeymoon. We're going 1.1 1/8 on the turf, Gino. And this is a very interesting race, 7 here in the field. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the 7 horse I played last time out. she ran too good to lose. She really did. She kind of had a slowish start, Shiloh's Mistress. Then she was able to get over to the lead. At the top of the lane, she was headed by Maduro, who's the 1-5 favorite that day. And then she battles back and just misses on a head bob. It was a really good effort. And you start going through her form before that. She didn't really run a great race in her career debut in a tough field at Keeneland in a 7-furlong sprint. All the races going long make a lot of sense. She was second behind Perfect Shot, who's multiple graded stakes placed. She comes back and wins. Then she's behind Kinza and Where's My Ring. That's a multiple graded stakes winner, Kinza. That's Where's My Ring, who goes over and wins the Gazelle and then runs in the Kentucky Oaks. So I like the 7 quite a bit, and I don't even think she needs the lead. She can sit and pass horses if she has to, if someone else from the inside wants to go. I like the outside draw for her. The 4 Sea Dancer, too, was really impressive. I love that she showed that she can sit, too. She doesn't need the lead, but both of those horses can either sit or can show speed if they need to. They're my top tier. I just wanted to mention, I'm a little cold on Circle of Trust because I feel like this is the type of horse I would always like. I don't know. She's gotten in some trouble. She might be a really quirky horse, and I don't know if she might need like blinkers or something like different to help her. Maybe a jock switch can like change things up. I thought multiple times she was behind horses. She angled out with every opportunity, and then like she couldn't get straight. She kind of ran up on heels and stuff. So I'm not going to be shocked if she actually gets bet the most in here, and I might be a little cold on her because I think I'm not quite sure if she has as much trouble. Or I want to see a few changes for her first.
Yeah, that's an interesting horse, Skipper, because like Gino said, that horse was rank early and had trouble, but now that you go through the running lines, has actually had trouble in 4 of her last 5 starts, and she's only had 6 lifetime starts. So actually 5 of the 6 she's had trouble in, and the other one she actually won the race. So what are your thoughts in here, Skip?
You know, my top play is Shiloh's Mistress. I really like that last race. I don't think she realized she lost. I mean, that was such a game effort. The race before was against Kinza. The race before that was on the Tapeta surface at Turfway Park. This horse obviously wants the grass. It's got that high turfy action in that last work on the 25th. So she'll be my top play. Sea Dancer, I really like. Gino said that. I love the fact that she could sit. Both of her wins have been at Santa Anita. And I'm also going to use Faith Understood too. This horse ran second to Sweet Rebecca. It did come back to win or run very good last weekend in a stakes race at Belmont at the Big A. But that's a really nice horse. So I'm going to use 3, 4, and 7 here. Maybe I might throw the 2 on my ticket just for a bomb. Leonard Palace having a good meet. This horse is 0 for 2 on the grass, but I don't know. This horse could be a little bit sneaky to me. So I'm going to go 3, 4, 7, and maybe add the 2 on the ticket.
Yeah, I wasn't sure with Shiloh's Mistress. I think Gino said maybe the horse is tactical. I mean, you know, they did walk on the lead that day. They went 48-3.
Right. And you know what? The way that she won her Tapeta race, sitting back and going.
You're right.
I think it was more that horse that she lost to is just a little bit better than her and was just sitting right to her outside all the way around. You know, it showed. And I did get the relief. So we don't have to necessarily speed through because mom has relieved me of pickup duties. So we can mosey through the last 2 races a little bit more if we need to.
All right. Let's move on then to race 8. We're going $50,000 maiden claimers Calbreds here, Gino. And what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, you know, a horse who I do want to use, and not a horse that I would single or anything, but because I'm using a few others, because I look at SY Dream, and this horse has a big gap in the works, like Skip's mentioned. So I wouldn't say key in on this horse, but if you're using a few, this horse isn't facing any real monsters in here. And there were some like ability in the morning. This barn has actually won with their last 3 first-time starters, and just kind of sneaky. The Dam was Ontario stakes winner too. So checking a lot of boxes for me. I thought the 3 just feels like a starting over point for Big Baby to me. I'm not sure if this horse on paper is as slow as it might look early. Like it looks like this horse doesn't really have a lot of early speed. I don't know if that's the case. I think he had a little bit of trouble, and he was in facing better in all of his starts. Those races have all come back so live. Each of them have had 2 or 3 or 4 next out winners, horses who have come back and win their next race and then like 2 in a row. So I just think he was in some really good spots there. Yeah, the one I thought he ran pretty well too, but this is a tricky race. Like I can make cases for a couple of the other firsters, like the 2 Tequila Talking wouldn't shock me. The 4 Pay Tribute, visually I wasn't quite as impressed with. It's another one who like I kind of wanted to like this one a little bit more, but it's hard not to at least include Cody Boy. So, and however you're putting your ticket together, this is going to be one of those races for me where I'm spreading out and using a few, and all the ones that I mentioned.
The 7 Pay Tribute, is that the first Kobe's back we've seen on the track? I don't remember any Kobe's
first one
back.
I've seen.
Yeah. And then Gino being the USC fan wouldn't use the 4 Coach Cronin if it was
Never.
1-9.
Absolutely never for Mick. No way. Out there with those Bruins.
Skipper, your thoughts here in a field of 10?
I went back and watched the replays and watched the workouts, and I didn't like anything. I know it's a tough race. I think the 3 Big Baby, I like this horse, and I like it a lot. I love the fact that it's dropping down. When Glatt brings him back plus 180 days, he wins 27%. When he drops him from maiden special weight to maiden claiming, 42%. I love the work on the 21st. And, there is a little gap in there because it goes 21st, 29th, then nothing till the 13th. That horse worked so good on the 21st. It worked against a horse that came back and won. I believe it just a real nice one that just won a maiden special weight for Mark Glatt. I love the way that did it. Those races that it comes out of were all key races, had trouble in every race. I think they're just, it's what is it, a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old?
5-year-old.
5-year-old. I just think they just put it in a winning spot. I don't like anything else in here. I think this horse comes back and wins. I'm going to single.
Chappie, what do you think this horse's first click of odds is going to be?
8-5.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
First click, right? I just think when you just look at this race too, as Skip was pointing out, like that's the horse that does stand out on paper. Now there are the reasons, as he pointed out in the work tab, that maybe you can poke some holes here, but you just figure like this one's going to get bet. The stat that Skip was kind of hitting on too, that was kind of eye-opening to me when I was looking at another race with Mark Glatt. So off the bench like that, off the plus 180 days, DRF, when you're looking at the formulator PPs, the ones that I always will do the videos with, where you can click on the database and stuff, they have the last 5 years worth of a sample size. So if you just blindly bet on every Mark Glatt horse coming off a plus 180 day layoff over the last 5 years, your $2 would have gotten you back like 206, that is crazy that you would have positive ROI just blindly betting on someone starting horses off the longest possible layoffs.
Right,
that is never a positive stat. It's so frequent, like so rarely a positive stat. And for Glatt, just like understand that for some barns, they can actually get horses ready better in their own program than with others. It's just like how coaches would train an athlete before a season, right? We watch players and teams that you're like, gosh, they're always bad for the first month of the year. And then they get into it, and it's just amazing when you see stats that are that big over 5 years, like 180 horses, and he still is a positive. Like, shout out to Glatt for that's a really good training job to do that.
And we already mentioned Coach Cronin, just for all you basketball players. That horse is not named after Big Baby. It's the sire is Mr. Big, and the dam is Baby Zito. So we're not going with the all basketball terms here.
Chap, I wanted to mention one other thing. I said that work on the 21st for Big Baby, that I really liked it. Then I didn't see the one on the 29th, and there was that little gap. But to me, it looks like they're playing a little bit of poker here. I mean, maybe they don't want to lose it. And if they do, it's 5-year-old anyways. Because then look, 38-1, 11 out of 11 works. And then 49-2, 39 out of 53. It's like that horse works so good and then they knew that it's ready. It's, ready to go. Then they just kind of slowed it down. That's how I see it anyways. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a trainer, but
in this day and age too, if it's like one work that feels like it's missed in between stuff, I can discount that to just it being missed sometimes. It's when there's the big gaps, like you've pointed out, like the month where you're like, okay, there's no way they miss 4 consecutive works to be published. But both times in a row, it's like, oh, did they just give the time a little more time? Was there maybe another race that they had plotted out or something? But it does feel like this horse is sitting on go.
And we also had, people don't think about it, we had a lot of rain out here too for a while. So, they just galloped horses as well. So there's going to be spots where there's technically a work miss, but that doesn't mean they lost any fitness in that time. So keep that in mind. All right, let's move on to the 9th race, the final race here at Santa Anita. I thought was very interesting, Skip. Your thoughts here?
I love Mahina. This horse, I gave it out last time we did the show when it ran. This horse got really good and won by 3 lengths with Rispoli. Came back and beat a starter allowance by 1.5 lengths. Came back to work good. I loved it on May 4th. It broke from the way outside. The only thing that I said was I didn't really care for the jock switch. Drayden could ride, but I'd much rather have Rispoli on it. And boy, turn it for home. He's just loaded and doesn't know what to do. And instead of trying to save a little ground and cut the corner, he goes wide, and it cost him the race, I think. I didn't like the ride. I'm hoping that he maybe learned something from it and can come back and ride it better. I like that it's going to be shortening up from 1 1/8 miles to 1 mile. I think he's got that kick that's better, or she does. All 3 wins have been over the Santa Anita turf course. All 3 wins that have been the mile distance. There is speed in here. I know Rugelach takes the blinkers off. Bangs takes the blinkers off. Bella Cherie has got speed. There's other one. I just think it sets up perfectly for this horse. If he gets the right ride, I think Mahina is going to win, and I'm going to single it. The only other horse that I thought about using was coming off a long layoff is 16 Arches. I thought the last 2 works weren't bad for it. Has some back class, but it's tough to win off a long break like that. If anybody can, it could be D'Amato, but I'm going to single Mahina, and if I do 2 tickets, I'll put the 3 on another ticket.
Okay, yeah, my 2 must-uses in here, yeah, you talked about Mahina, is 16 Arches off that long layoff. I thought the last workout was terrific. Juan Hernandez jumps aboard here after they haven't ran since 2022. And I also like the work of Big Summer, who's stretching out. And that last race, nothing there. But that was off of a year layoff. And I think going long here, second off the long layoff, those were the 2 horses that I was really interested in that I'm going to use here. Gino?
Yeah, she has some of the better Big Summer. She has some of the best races in the field. They're just all going shorter. She's actually never been over 6.5 furlongs. So complete wild card. We'd expect her to be a little more forward. I think a lot more forward in this race than she was in her last start, where that kind of just felt like they gave her a race around the track, right? I mean, they really didn't have a lot of intent in that race. And now you get Maldonado aboard. And that doesn't always work that way. I think he has gotten to be just a much better polished overall rider.
Yeah.
And he gets a lot more mounts now of horses that just aren't speed horses. So he's not necessarily always like, hey, go to the lead guy, that when they put him on. So right. I think this horse is probably in the mix, but Skip hit the nail on the head with Mahina as probably the one they'll all have to hold off. And remember, she was chasing a lone speed winner that day too. Like there was no passing in that race at all. And he's Crazy Train just went wire to wire. The other 1 or 2 that I will use, just based on if I'm closing this, I definitely want Mahina, because if they go quick enough, she'll come closing. I think there might be versions of this race actually where Rugelach could be the biggest speed in the field, stretching out from those sprint races. So on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, I'll use that horse with the blinkers coming off, second start back off the short little break. That stretch of races last year, those are all pretty good. About 5 races in a row, and maybe the horse just didn't get to the lead last time out, and now they might be really intent on getting to the lead. I'd love to see a very aggressive ride from Talamo here. The horse who I actually might like the most is right inside of that one, the 5, Pasiche, who go through this horse's kind of recent form. So the 2 starts since coming into the U.S., to me, they're kind of picture perfect for what I'm looking for. This is a horse who first time out, it's kind of ran like they needed the race. Then last time out, completely misses the break inside. It's about 11 lengths off, is traveling well. And at the top of the lanes, kind of shifting around to the inside, really starts moving in between horses. It's only beaten like 3/4 of a length that day. And it should set this horse up perfectly to stretch back out now and not have to be coming from so far out of it once that move gets going. So the 5, 6, and 8, definitely my top tier. I'll probably have one ticket where I'm just closing with those 3, because what's nice is they sort of complement each other from running styles. I have, I think, a couple horses closing, and the one, if anyone gets away, it might be Rugelach.
And even with the 4-horse field in this mix, this looks like a pretty wide open pick 5 that has the makings of paying quite a bit there, Gino.
I don't think Big City Lights is going to be a real overwhelming favorite in that race either. Like, I don't know if everyone's going to just single Big City Lights. I think that the horses are sort of evenly matched enough. And when you look at speed figures, Dr. Venkman's actually run a little faster on some speed figures recently. And Happy Jack just comes off of a really good race too. You got the Baffert factor, the other horse, and people might see Mr. Fisk in the running lines there with Tahoe Sunrise, who's come back. So if that race doesn't come out like a single race and people are using 2 or 3 or 4 horses in that race, then it may not really even change the complexion of the sequence all that much, right? That's really what it comes down to. Or these races where you have to go 2 or 3 or 4 deep. So yeah, this was another fun one to handicap. And then next weekend we'll have the Belmont. The past performances just came out right now for Thursday at Saratoga coming up this week. So we'll have 4 days of the Belmont Racing Festival at Saratoga, and you'll see, I think, 4 stakes races on Thursday, 4 on Friday, and then I think there's not 8, 9, something like that on Saturday with the Belmont. And looks like we're going to have the Derby winner and the Preakness winner right now, as of right now. So fingers crossed.
Skipper, no Zenyatta joining us today?
She's there.
Oh, she is back.
She's passed out.
She blends right in with everything.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure we didn't mention what was our code word last week? Blame. Blame. You can't say blame.
You could say it, but you can't say it in the Trevor voice.
You can say it normally. Yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I thought I might have a visitor. I heard somebody trying to open the door. I'm watching Brittany's little boy, Caleb, and I heard him trying to get the door open. So I thought he'd be storming in here pretty quick, but I guess he couldn't get it open. He gave up.
All right, it looks like you're off the kid duty. Skip's got kid duty tonight. Join us tomorrow on the Morning Light Sports Show on AM 830 from 8 to 9. We'll have some more information, or TML AM 830 on Facebook Live and Instagram Live. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Let's get some winners, and we'll see you out at Santa Anita. Thanks, guys.
Good luck, everyone.